Hi, and welcome to Chant Talk, official episode number 1. I'm Patrick Torsell, and today we're going to pick up where I left off with my previous videos. We're going to talk about accompanying chant mode 5. Now, before we get into that, let's talk a little bit, a few reminders about some of the important and fundamental concepts about chant theory. When we're talking about the modes, we have what's called the final, or the tonic, and that is the kind of the foundational, most important note in the mode. It's the note that the chant will normally start on, and it's the note that the chant will always end on. That's the final, or the tonic. And then we also have the second most important note, and we call that the dominant. And that's the note that a lot of the chant will kind of center around, even if it's leading back to the final or the tonic. So we have the tonic, we have the dominant, and then each mode has a range, and that's just the notes between which the chant in that mode will be built. So I'm going to talk about mode 5, which is going to be most closely related, if you want to think of it in terms of the Greek modes, it's going to be pretty closely related to the Lydian mode. And so in mode 5, it has a range of fa to fa. So fa is the tonic or the dominant, and it's one of the authentic modes, like all the other odd-numbered modes. It is an authentic mode, which means that the dominant is going to be found a fifth above the tonic. So if the tonic is sitting at fa, then our dominant in mode 5 is going to be do. Now mode 5, of course, like 5, 6, 7, and 8, those have basically what our ear would call a major tonality, whereas the modes we've covered previously, mode 1, 2, 3, and 4, have more of a minor tonality. So we're going to have a look at mode 5 today, keeping in mind that our tonic is on fa, our range is fa to fa, and our dominant is on do. So let's head over to the organ and see what we can do in accompanying this mode. We're going to take a look at the tantum ergo in mode 5. And before we get to the organ part, let's just see how it sounds. Tantum ergo sacramentum veneremur cernui et anticum documentum novo cedat ritui Prestet fides supplementum sensum defectui. So we have these couple of fun spots, like we've seen in other modes, where we bounce back and forth between te and ti. So let's see what we can do with that. Now I've made fa, which is our tonic. I've placed that on D for this particular chant. It's comfortable there for my singing range. So we start on D, and we're talking about a major tonality, so let's see about just starting on that fa major chord, which is D major in this case. Tantum ergo sacra. It seems to work. We're centered around this fa major tonality, so let's go ahead and throw down a D major as our first chord here. Tantum ergo sacra, and then it goes to te men, and it would seem to make sense to actually use the te major chord, which kind of plays, if we think of it in a modern sense, plays like a 4 chord. If fa is like our 1 chord, then te major is going to be G major. That's going to be like the 4 chord. Tantum ergo sacramentum. And then we land back on our tonic there on the D major or on fa major. So we're going to do that. And I seem to recall in an earlier video how I explained how we almost never use second inversions. Well, this is one case where we may go ahead and use one because we're resting on the tonic. Let me show you what that'll sound like. So we hold D as our bass note here. Tantum ergo sacramentum. So again, rather than really thinking of it like a second inversion, there's a case where we can think of holding that D as just holding the bass note all the way through, as a kind of an Eson drone almost under there, landing us right back on the tonic. Okay, so let's go on from there. Now we have Veneremur cernui. We could theoretically just stay on fa major there, but that's kind of boring. So let's see, what else, if we're on a D, what else might work there? Well, we could try that te major again, which was G. works, but I would want to bring a little more interest into that. So why don't we think, is there a minor chord that might fit? Well, in this tonality, sure, what about B minor? So that's actually the Re minor chord in this mode. And if we want to break that up, why don't we turn it into Re minor, Te major, Fa major. So that's going to be B minor, G major, back to D major. So if we listen to that whole opening phrase now. We can even make that a first inversion of our Fa major. So we'll say that's a D over an F sharp bass. And then we can drop back to root position for the next line. Et antiquum, and here's where we get this first instance of T. Et antiquum documentum. So we have to come up with something now. We've been using that G major chord, that Te major chord. Well, we're certainly not going to use Te major with a G sharp here. That ain't going to happen. Okay, but what do we think about, if we're thinking a little bit like D, what else do we have to work with? Well, we could think about... that Re minor to take us into what's actually La minor, right? Re minor, so B minor, into La minor, F sharp minor. It seems to work. But how are we going to get there? We could actually walk it down like that. So we could use Fa major, and then we're going to Do major, first inversion, which is A, first inversion, and then Re minor, La minor, first inversion. I think I like that. So we're walking that down. Keeps all that chord movement close together. So it's D. It's A over a C sharp. It's B minor. Oops. And then it's F sharp minor. Or again, if we think of this on our scale degrees here on our solfege, that's Fa major, Do major first inversion, Re minor, La minor first inversion. So F sharp minor over an A in the bass. So let's listen to that again. Et antiquum documentum. So now what are we going to do with that phrase? I'd keep it nice and simple, just like that. We've kind of worked our way into this minor tonality for just a minute here from... So now we'll go down to the root position, La minor, and then back up to Re minor, which is just going to resolve us onto Do major, A major. Okay? So what did we have there? We had F sharp minor in root position for the beginning of that phrase, and then back up to the Re minor, which was B minor. Okay? And then this just resolves onto Do major, which is A major. Root position. Okay, and now we repeat the phrase from the beginning. So we're going to repeat our accompaniment chords from the beginning. So it's going to be Fa major, and then it's going to be our G major chord there, which is that Te major, over the D in the bass, back to our tonic position there. And then we can, again, it continues to repeat the earlier phrase. Except this time we'll go down to root position. Okay? And there we have the tantum ergo. B minor, G, D. Let's listen to the whole thing. Tantum ego sacramentum veneremur cernui, et antiquum documentum novo cedat ritui, Christ et fides supplementum sensum defectui. I think that sounds pretty nice. So that's the Tantum Ergo in Mode 5. Now let's just take a quick look at the Kyrie from Mass 8. Everyone's pretty well familiar with that. Kyrie eleison. And this is one of those very common chants that is in Mode 5. So let's see what we would do there. And I'm going to go through this one a little bit more quickly, a little bit less analysis, but you'll be able to see the process at work here as well. So we're going to start again on that Fa major chord. Kyrie, and I'm going to do the same thing. This is going to be a second inversion of the Te major chord, which is G major here. Back to Fa major, back to Te, Fa major, eleison. So I made a mistake there. We're all human. But what happens on the eleison? So we went Fa major, Re minor, Te major, we stay there, and then back to Fa major, okay? And then the Christe, Christe, so that was Re minor up to Fa major, so B minor to D, and then we're gonna bounce back and forth with that Te major chord a little bit here over the D bass. And the eleison is the same. Now on your final Kyries here, we're going to start on a Re minor. Go to Do major, first inversion, and then Fa major, Te major, Do major for root position, and then back to Fa major, Re minor, Te major, and then we rest on the Fa. That's it. Pretty simple. Let's have a listen to it. Kyrie eleison, Christe eleison, Kyrie nice and simple and beautiful accompaniment for that very common Kyrie from the Missa de Angelis. And so that's Mode 5. We see a lot of work around the Fa major chord. We see a lot of that Te major chord whenever there's not a T. If there's a T in place, we don't want to be messing around with that Te major chord. But it certainly comes into play because, like I said, it acts almost like the 4 chord in Mode 5. So we see that, and when we bring in our minor chords, it's Re minor, and sometimes we work with La minor as well. And both of those minor chords help us work with that T when it does show up. So otherwise, it's Fa major, Te major, Do major, Re minor, La minor. And lots of those 4-1 cadences are in this case Te major, Fa major. Well, I hope you found that quick look into Mode 5 helpful. If you have any questions, let me know. If you like this video and would like to see more videos like it, please do me a favor. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and head on over to my Patreon page so that you can support the creation of content like this. Thanks. God bless you.